We are ready to go.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining our show. Today we have two dignitaries with us. First, let me introduce you to a person whom all of us know, Mr. Shaji Prabhakaran, who's the president of Football Delhi. Just to give a quick background, he has successfully managed different roles and responsibilities in last more than 20 years. That's 2 decades, from being a research scholar to a teacher, from a football coach to managing a company, from grassroots to managing FIFA World Cups, and from managing various domestic football development projects to managing multiple international development projects in football. So, warm welcome, Shaji Prabhakaran. And I also have another distinguished panelist with us, that is Mr. Ajit Braich. He's the technical director at SBMC. He's an experienced owner, with a demonstrated history of working in the sports industry. He's based out of Canada. He has skills in player development, sports management, coaching, injury prevention, and athletic training. He has got strong entrepreneurial, professional, and has graduated from the Aylesford High School. So welcome, Shaji, and welcome, Ajit, to the show.
Thank you, Sujit. Looking
Thank
forward
you.
to our discussion.
Perfect. So the thing is, just to set context for our viewers today, see, the entire intent which we are going to cover is about Indian football, how we are seeing Indian football evolve, what should be the certain, best practices which we need to do, and how do we see it evolve as we move forward. So maybe I would, pose, my first question to Shaji, that, based on your experiences, since 20 years, 2 decades is quite a long time, how do you see Indian football evolve, and what are the current strengths of Indian football?
Oh, fabulous question, Sujit. We have, great strength in our ecosystem, uh, whether it is the number of participation, which is growing in a significant number, and the whole uh, c- c- community participation is growing. And there are a lot of investments coming from all across, whether they're corporate, whether they are individuals, whether they are different organizations. And so one of the biggest, the topmost companies investing into football, Reliance. These are the strengths, and our club structure, which is again took us to this level, and we have which is not the case in other parts of some parts of the world. So there were the aspiration of team and the growing fan base, which is again a great strength. Therefore, and media gives very, very some space to football in India. Therefore, there are lots of strengths. What we need to do is structure things. We need to strategize so that we can take best advantage of the strengths what we have got. So therefore, what I feel is we have a great future. Uh, we we can only get better from where we are, and we can definitely reach to our potential.
Oh, fantastic. And that kind of, leads me to the second question, Shaji. See, obviously, we are seeing a lot of, newer formats. Specifically, I just wanted to highlight ISL, which is the top league right now in India. So what are your point of views about ISL and its future for Indian football?
The ISL now being the top league in India, uh, and therefore what ISL has done to Indian football is given a kind of a fresh energy in every way. Their contribution is huge, and what I only see is that it will only grow strength to strength. We need more teams in ISL to come in. We need more games to happen. The good thing is the fan base is growing, and last data which has come from the viewership, which is also very encouraging. It shows we have grown 51% the viewership. which is again encouraging. Therefore, what I feel is that ISL can become one of the top leagues in Asia, and can we can really compete at the top of the Asia, because we have kind of made ISL in a way which is attracting best of the talent also. So what we need is to think how we can put a better economic structure into it, whereby the clubs become sustainable going forward. It will take time because we are in a very evolving phase right now. So therefore, I see ISL doing wonders to Indian football in the coming years.
Great, perfect. Thank you so much for that. So let me just shift a little bit of gear and look at Ajit, because since Ajit, you are based out of Canada, right? And you are looking at Indian football. I understand that there are a lot of projects for the past 5 years, which you come in and you undergo and execute those projects. So I just wanted your point of view, Ajit, that what are those changes in the last 5 years you have seen in Indian football?
I think what I've seen is obviously the popularity and the passion grow, and that in any sports is very, very important. And there are, as we've mentioned earlier, more corporate sponsorship available. So awareness is big. And the other one I think really is increasing is more schooler programs as well as academies. How they're run's a different ball game, but certainly the increase on that side is fantastic. And the third piece, which I feel is growing, but we need to do a better job, and I say we proudly because I'm born in India, is the participation at grassroots. Almost every child at the school seems needs to be able to feel the game, experience a game, and it's their decision whether they stay with it or not. So we don't need to force them. So some of the programs we did in Chennai, Punjab, were school programs, very low cost, but the participation and the fun factor was the most important thing. We weren't going in with a huge curriculum, development, criteria, all these words that we associate isn't what we need at the participation. Key is, did they enjoy the game? Would they come back again? If they say yes, job well done.
Oh, that's a very important point which you touched, Ajit, is focusing at the grassroots level. And so before I pose my next question, maybe I would just shift this question to Shaji. That that's quite an interesting point which Ajit mentioned, that is grassroots football. I just a question that from a Indian football standpoint, are we developing enough local coaches at the grassroots level?
See, as I stated before as well, the coach education system in India is just a decade old, and we are, seeing the impact of that. But what we have, the number of coaches right now, it is very, very less compared to the population what we have. So therefore, what it requires is at the local level, the state associations, the district associations, and through other organizations, other stakeholders, we need to encourage more people to be part of the coach education, because better coaches can only produce better players, and better educated coaches can give us a better football ecosystem. Therefore, what we need is we need to develop our work in the area of coach education. There is a lot of appetite in the people to learn, to know modern aspects of football training, coaching, and grassroots is one area which we need to constantly work. We can never stop. This number has to grow and grow, because that is where we would be able to unearth a big star, and this number has to grow, and we need to work with a target, whether it is 10 million or 100 million. We need to set a target with the right strategy, whereby if you want to achieve a 100 million target participation in grassroots in 5 years or 10 years, what is that requires, in terms of investment, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of coaches, in terms of different other elements to it. Because right now, no doubt the participation is growing, but we need to bring in more structure into it. We need to bring in more purpose into it. We need to activate more and more organization, and at the same time we need to build capacity in the system.
Great. So that kind of answer. So maybe I would just ask that question. My next question to Ajit. Ajit, can you share? I mean, since you are seeing India as a country as well as Canada where you are residing now. Can you share what are those some of those best practices which is happening in other countries, which you feel that you can replicate here in India?
Certainly in India, my visits again, I agree with Shahid. We have the passionate coaches. Coach education and certification is only a very small piece. And the coaches we mentored at Minerva, Chennai, Bangalore, they need more in-house programs or regional programs to be able to show them how to conduct these sessions that we're on about. I can get an A license. Yes, I'm good at it. But do I know how to deliver what a 4-year-old needs, a 6-year-old needs? What does a talented 18-year-old needs? Those are definitions that we need to make sure are structured within that education system. But they've got to be done at the local level where we can now offer opportunities for local workshops. We've just completed one here in Canada. 34 directors met, all of us technical, and it was a technical director's diploma to find out what is the true structure of the club. As we all know, in any business, one model doesn't suit all. So in India, we need to find an Indian solution, I believe, rather than constantly saying, well, let's do it the Spanish way, let's do it the German way. We can use their best practices, but how can we use our own resources? And I feel we've got some very good young coaches. We've mentored 3. I'm constantly online with them, and I'm very pleased to say one has landed a job at Bengaluru as well, very good job. A second one now is a young coach out of Chandigarh. So there are loads of good coaches, but what are we doing to improve them and to get them into the right level of coaching? That's so important.
Yeah, perfect. I think that's a good insight. So obviously, ensuring that we have a structured program to nurture these young footballers and have a very well-refined coaching, manual, which has to be, as I said, one size fits all doesn't work, because India, with multiple states, multiple backgrounds, I think you need to cater to them individually. So that's a very valid point, Ajit. I have quite an interesting question now, for Shaji, because since we are talking about, creating the talent pool, and if I see over the last, couple of years, right, I see Northeast as an emerging hub in terms of, being a talent supplier. And Bengal, when football started, Bengal was, the city where it produced the best footballers. So what are your views on that, Shaji?
Northeast, no doubt, right now is a supply hub of talents for Indian football, because there are more players from Northeast playing for different clubs, whether whether it is ISL or whether it is I League, and they have become very very they have emerged as big pocket for talents. We need to credit them for what they have done. They are focusing on increasing participation, and there is the great aspect is the clubs have become stronger. There are more clubs are coming, and there is great participation from community. And at the same time, the government, the local government there is also supporting football in a big way. And the other aspect which is very important is football becomes a kind of a medium for livelihood. The footballers are the role model for the community, which again impacts the participation. And there are more local activities in football, and there are lot more activities at the youth level as well. Though they are not funded well as far as corporate goes, but still the passion there is something bigger than many parts of India. When it comes to Bengal, the situation has changed in last 2 decades because economically the opportunities have grown, and the youth participation have come down, and the local football participation, they say the para football, is not there as it used to be. Because in every locality in Bengal, you'll find a football ground. And the tragedy right now is, say, half of them are empty these days. Where in say 2 decades back, you will find full of children, full of youth, 24 into 7, looking for football activities. But that's not the case. But I'm sure things will improve because of uh, the clubs what Bengal has got. Because right now, if we see ISL champion is 80K, that's again a Calcutta club, and the Mohun Bagan is the I League champion. Therefore, there is a history of football in Bengal, and they are sustaining at the club level. And therefore, these clubs have to really do something whereby they can connect, they can re-emerge as a very community-oriented club, and they can definitely do so. It is not they need not to reinvent the wheel. They need not to think something fresh, but what they need is they need to build a structure. They need to have a strategy, and because football in Bengal is part of life, and it can really revive, and we'll see in the coming years more talents from Bengal.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I just wanted, I mean, since we are talking about the ISL and the I League which is coming, I also wanted to quickly also highlight, Shaji, that we were privileged and lucky, to host the Under-17 World Cup too. So just wanted your views that how have we benefited, in terms of hosting these World Cups in India.
It has significantly impacted our football ecosystem. Hosting under 17 World Cup was a part of the overall strategy as far as FIFA and the AFF was concerned at that time, because India needed something big like under 17 World Cup to energize the system. And the impact, if we look into the infrastructure part, there's a significant improvement there with the cities whichever hosted this under 17 World Cup. We see that there is an improved infrastructure there. And there's a greater participation from the state governments, which was never the case before, because it has activated the local governments. They brought in funding, they brought in what do you say, a participation from them. So therefore, and we could see more participation before under 17 World Cup and during and after. And we should not forget that we have created a kind of a record in terms of attendance as well, whereby we have displayed to the world football in India is not not somewhere second. It is as big as any part of the world. What we have to see is that the one World Cup cannot change everything. We need to constantly focus on unearthing talent. We need to promote talent. We need to nurture them. We need to enlarge the participation base. And I'm sure this World Cup has given something to cheer. At the same time, it also has put in additional responsibilities on us, that we have to produce a team. We have to honor those kind of talents, whereby we qualify for under 17 World Cup in the near future, which would again give us a good boost to football, and that would be one of the biggest legacies what we can think of, if we qualify in the times to come.
Awesome. Okay, so I'll quickly pose my next question to Ajit. And Ajit, I think this will be true both for Canada as well as India, right? So the question is, how do you build mindshare and create that brand for Indian football, both at a national and an international level? Your thoughts?
Great question. I think we've got to realize first how big the task in India is with the sheer population. And number two is the geographical area India covers, but we in Canada are no different. And I visited India in 2012 when Robert Barn was the technical director. I was very fortunate to be invited to Mumbai as a guest coach by Scott Donnelly, and there was 21 other A licensed coaches there. We had a seminar, and I felt that had a little bit of flavor to addressing your question, where I didn't see it go anywhere because in our country, or where I'm living now, developing centers throughout India would be the model to go, and you empower those A licensed coaches under the direction of a technical director or a director of sporting to oversee the very top talent. To me, the under 17 World Cup, that's when I got interested, was very courageous to India to host, but we qualified because we were the host countries. The next goal should have been set: how do we qualify for the next under 17 World Cup on merit? So we've got to have some measurements, and are we progressing? So really, in between, I'm not sure what's followed after Robert Barn left and Scott left, who did a very good job. I believe we have a new TD in place now, but it's no different to us in Canada now. Our under 17s are regularly qualifying, our under 23s, and our women's program is just as strong as well. But it's got to start with these regional centers where the state associations could start doing it. We're going to have a development team, a state team, have a state championship. And at that state championship, you would have what we call identifications. And I have a center proposal to Kushal at the Federation where the best players, because we don't get playing time in India, if they're good enough academically, we could get you scholarships for them at the universities in America, particularly, then call them back for international duty, like most countries are doing now. So I'm a top player. I'm playing at Stanford, NCAA. We've got a qualifying game. I come back to India. I participate, but after 4 years, I may get into the I League. I might get into the ISL, because that's the other issue I think we're having is the younger talent aren't seeing enough playing time on the field over 40, 50 games a year. I'm never going to improve by being on the training ground. I need that pressure moment. It's 1-0 down and I'm on a field with 22 other players, So those are the sort of thoughts I think we need to develop a model throughout India geographically, where we've got these training centers run by the top coaches, supported by the best practices, as you called earlier. But again, I see the passionate coaches in India, but they need a lot more internal support on top of certification as well.
That's a very valid point, Ajit, which you brought, and I will follow it up, on the same lines to Shaji. See, when we talk about Indian football, about brand and all, right now everybody's following Indian football because of one gentleman, Mr. Sunil Chhetri, right? And we also know that he's not going to play forever, right? So what's next post Sunil Chhetri?
It's a very interesting question. It's keep coming to me in many events where people do ask this privately even. who after Sunil. Uh, you know, uh, when Baichung was there, it was the same question. Who after Baichung? What I feel is that let's continue to focus on Sunil because that's what is the best thing right now, which is very important. Uh, 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 and because Sunil is delivering, Sunil is the brand. Sunil is able to motivate, encourage, and he has become a role model for Indian football. What my personal wish is, he must continue. He should continue as long as possible. We love to see him, when he is on the field, motivating, encouraging his teammates, and he has become a leader, a big leader, and we need leaders in football. And he has inspired the whole ecosystem uh, with his professionalism, with his dedication, with his hard work, with his consistent performance on and off the field. This is what we definitely wish to see more figures like Sunil in Indian football. I'm sure it will happen because there are millions who have got inspired by Sunil, must be working hard to be like him. And we would be blessed to see many more Sunils coming into football. And I'm sure, I have no doubt, India will throw up another Sunil in the times to come. But at this time, right now, we have to admire what Sunil is doing, and we must wish him all the good luck so that he stays fit. He continues to deliver for Indian football. He continues to score those goals, and he continued to make all those records, which becomes kind of challenging for another star to come and emulate Sunil.
Perfect. No, so I think absolutely. I think the whole of India, I guess all our viewers who must be listening would want Sunil to play for another maybe 15, 20 years. But yes, I think he should be setting that benchmark standard for the next Sunil to come and beat his records. So a quick question. In terms of we are seeing state associations, we are seeing a lot of FIFA, officials, etc. There's a lot of talk investment which is happening in the football fraternity. I just wanted to quickly understand that from a corporate standpoint, right? How's the involvement to ensure that football in India there is a sponsorship, their involvement to ensure that football in India picks up.
No doubt, without the corporate support, no sport can grow. Yeah, and in India, we need more corporate support. But the encouraging part is more and more corporates are becoming part of football. Whether it is Reliance, whether it is Hero, whether it is JSW, then there are many more. It's the Tatas have established football as one of their prime sports, and they've been investing since 80s into football, and not to forget their contribution pre and post independence as well. They've been the biggest and the longest partners in football. And when the Tatas, when the Reliance, the Heroes, those are the big brands what India has got. What I would be interested that at a local level, how the brands can get connected, because the football requires investment at every level. It is not only at the top of the pyramid, but at the grassroots, at the youth, at the elite, and for the women's football as well. Therefore, we need more corporates, but we need to see that the football organizations, football associations, and the clubs professionalize its structure, become more transparent, become more credible in every way, so that the corporate feels that football is one sport. uh, if we associate, our brand value will only go up, and we can create a win-win situation. And that I think will definitely happen, because football has become a great platform for brand to communicate in India. And that's how we see that ISL is able to attract many of the brands, whether at the franchisee level, whether at the central level. And what we need to see is, we need to have that trickle down effect, which is coming to the lowest base of the pyramid. And the good aspect is, the government is also very proactively supporting football. The current minister, Sri Kiran Rijuji, is very supportive of football, and the funding has only gone up. And we need to continuously work hard. We really not attracting the kind of investment what our potential is, because it's we are at an infancy stage of a modern football structure. And I'm sure in few years time we will grow very fast, because the corporate will see great value in football, especially the Indian football. That is what would help to disseminate the value of football to every part of the country, and the community participation will grow, and the government will continue to support, I believe. And the every state government, every local government in India must take football as a priority sport, because it can integrate our whole population, because it has element which is much beyond sports. And that is what we need to see in a sport. It is not only about a performance, it is mostly about how we add value in everything what we do in our life, whether it is health, whether it is social aspect, whether it is women empowerment, whether it is communicating, sharing social message, running a campaign for the best of the country.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So, just being wary of the time, and the last question, both to Ajit and Shaji. Maybe I will start with Ajit. That for our viewers right now, what would be your last thoughts? Which they can take to look at football, as a career, in India, and how football attracts key talent, and how do you basically develop this so-called love for the game of football in India. Your last thoughts to the viewers, Ajit.
I think it's got to still start, I strongly believe, at the grassroots, where we have to put on coaching sessions, or what we call festivals here. We've done a few in India as well, where the children show up and have the best time of their life. But coaches have got to change their mentality. They're not coaching them, but they're treating them as children. And secondly, some of the physical methodology literacy that we use is going to a Q&A answer, where rather than stop telling children what to do. All right, it's like being in a classroom, but this should be a little bit of a break for 40 minutes, an hour. I really enjoyed that, Mom. I really enjoyed that, Dad. And then number two, within these festivals, we've created a program, one with one, not one-on-one, one with one. So when the child of 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7, right up to about 9 or 10 comes, the parent is encouraged to participate as well. So it's one with one. And all of a sudden we get in possible coaches. Oh, I like that. I got an hour with my child. I got an hour with my daughter. When can we sign up again? So treat them like children to increase the numbers. And moving up the ladder or within the pyramid, We need to be qualified to coach to the appropriate level, to the appropriate age group, and where the players are going academically parallel with the football pathway as well. It's no good saying, well, I want to be a pro footballer, I want to be a pro footballer. Great dream to have, but don't shatter the dream. But what is the parallel pathway for that child if I'm not good enough? Because how many professionals do we really make? That's the same analogy in England, Europe, here. The academic player pathway must be the sort of ladder that we're using. And I see so much passion with the coaches, where I go back to my earlier comment, the coaches need an internal mentorship or education program on top of the certification, which is very important.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point. So, Shaji, your last thoughts to our viewers.
Uh, uh, my appeal to everyone is, whoever follows football, become part of football. Try to see how you can become part of football actively. And try to join the local club. Try to see how you as an individual can play a role in improving things. That's very important. If you want to be a player, then keep working hard. And that's no substitute to hard work. And if you are a parent, keep motivating your child, keep encouraging your child. Don't put any pressure on the children, and don't start comparing. And if you want to be a coach, try to learn as much as possible. And don't only depend on licenses, certifications. It is every day the coaches need to learn something, and apply your mind, and come out with your own practices, which would make you different, and don't try to copy paste. Therefore, this is my appeal is, be get involved in football. Be part of it, and try to work as a team. And let's take Indian football to a different level through your own contribution, participation, and encouraging whoever is there part of football. Let's form a team. And it's a team work which ultimately make India succeed at the world level. My best wishes.
Perfect. So I think, just to, summarize, what really excites me about Indian football is the passion, determination, and hope which we all have, whether it are the players, the team officials, fans alike, to believe that we can do it and win. And in spite of all the challenges which we have, I think the zeal in which a small bunch of folks are rallying to keep this game alive in India, especially Shaji, is truly inspiring. And I think that's what football does. And the idea is to spread this infectious optimism to the people of India to invest, learn, and love this amazing game called football. So thank you so much, viewers. Thank you so much, Shaji. Thank you so much, Ajit, for your time. Look forward to another session. And to the viewers, have a good evening. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you,
Thank you. Good
Ajit.
evening.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Sujit.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you.